Have you ever thought, like, who does that? Why does this happen? You ever wondered really where the motivation for certain behaviors are coming from and just feeling completely at loss when it comes to interacting with people? Well, lots of people do it, and that is because it can feel confusing when you are in these states of reaction and you don't have control over your executive function. I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and I help thousands of people be able to get control over their behaviors and be able to find insight in why they do the things they do. Because ultimately, behavior is predictable. We know as professionals, I can tell you not only what you're doing and why you're doing it, but I can tell you with a person I've never met before, never seen, would not pick them out in a line out. I can tell you what they're doing, what their actions are, what their reactions are, and why it's annoying you so much, and how do you become successful with it. I have spent years, decades, I hate to say it, but decades working with people, being obsessed with the idea of why. Why do people act this way? And I've been able to develop a science-based framework to be able to understand and break the code of behavior. And behavior is predictable because our past is constantly filtering into our present. The second that we are stressful, have any kind of stress situation, the second that our past is lurking, ready to cause implicit messaging to act immediately in an effort for survival. It is science. It is our brain, another organ in our body, just acting and reacting quickly in an effort to survive. There's no shame in these behaviors. There's no need to be judgy with yourself in these behaviors or with other people. They're just trying to survive, and many times, 99% of the time, it is unconscious motives that are causing these behaviors. And so there are some key things that we want to look at, these psychological mechanics of this prediction. And that is, we have two memories. We have explicit memory and we have implicit memory. We have a lot more, but we're not going to focus on that today. Implicit, explicit memory. And what happens is explicit, you can recall. You kind of know that how to throw a baseball, right? You remember being in the backyard. You remember kind of having that big like dodgeball and kind of throwing it like this, and then maybe you got a basketball or the same ball and you're kind of throwing it up into a hoop, and then you get this small ball and you're kind of like just kind of moving it, and then somebody has taught you like, okay, you know, kind of guide through it, let it go through, right? Let it go through. Or how do you hold a golf club? You use your hips. You don't swing with your arms. You use your hips. These are explicit memories. Things that somebody has taught you and that you have picked up. Things that you have experienced and that you explicitly remember that experience. In trauma, explicit trauma has trauma echoes. You feel like you are in a surround sound theater of your life, explicit. But then there's these thousands and thousands of windows that are open on your computer, on your mental computer, that are implicit. You have no idea where it comes from, and you'll never know why you do the things that you do. I know why, because it's predictable. So what you do today is 100% determined on what your stressors were long ago. So I personally love attachment theory. I think that, and I do believe, and you can see in, I have a whole breakdown of the negative cycle and what's happening neurologically in it. And attachment's a big part of it. Whether or not you feel like you are safe and secure in attachment, you can give freely and receive freely, whether you fear abandonment, whether you find that relationships are an obligation, you fear being an obligation or having an obligation. Whether you have a little bit of both, you have a consistent fear of abandonment and fear of obligation all at the same time, and you're trying to battle through all of it. Like, love is unsafe. It all filters into every single conversation we have with somebody else. It does. Our past is a determinant. And this is all in my book. I actually break all of this out in my book, Saying Goodbye to Bad Brain. So I go neurologically through all of these components. The other component that I cover that's a part of behavior is Erikson's stages of development, these little psychosocial stages that say, you know, that here you're just trying to kind of trust versus mistrust as you are trying to get your diaper, your needs met. You want a diaper, you want your bottle, whatever the case may be. All you have is implicit memory. Explicit memory doesn't come until age 3, and that trust versus mistrust is right there to start building a lot of implicit memories. And as we grow into school age and we're trying to have interactions and we have agency, and a sense of agency coming in around the school age years, again, we know that, oh, you probably had some trauma between like 6 and 9. Something stressful has happened because you lost that ability to feel like you are capable of doing this on your own. And as we try to grow into groups, and adolescence is turmoil, and it goes until 24 according to Erikson. So buckle up. You are not done at 18. Legally, you may be an adult, but you still have an adolescent brain. And so there's still this needing of trying to escape your family unit and kind of going on your own and finding your group of your own. So all of this plays together in predicting what your behavior is and why you're doing the things that you're doing. And in a distressed state, we often get lost in this negative dynamic called triangulation. And triangulation can literally be 3 people. Triangulation can be figuratively 3 people. And triangulation can be, 2 or more people. Sometimes people are ganging up and you have like multiple victims and multiple persecutors and multiple rescuers. Sometimes you have unseen, I don't want to say unseen. Sometimes we occupy 2 roles. The victim can also be the persecutor, which kind of makes them the martyr, right? We also can occupy different stages in our lives. So we have what's called transactional analysis. That was Cartman Drama Triangle. I have a whole thing on it. Transactional analysis, I have a whole video on it. So go in and click and check it out. Where we're occupying a parent stage or a child stage. And, all of these things are saying we are not grounded in the present. We are occupying our past in various ways, and we're bringing other people on to occupy our past. So if you've ever interacted with somebody and you're like, man, like nothing seems to be good, like I just keep feeling like I have to like nurture you. I have to come in and like stroke your hair and pat you on the back and say, what a good little boy or what a good little girl you are. You're probably being triangulated. It's not malicious. It's fact. That is what happens. We get stuck in these spaces and we don't realize that we are not in the here and now, and we bring people into our perceived reality. And so what we want to do is be able to understand how to strategically map and look at and analyze our interactions. And we do that by being grounded in the present and start naming valid data points using I feel statements. And when we own our side of the street, and we're going to talk about that later in the week about letting go and owning our side of the street, but when we find that we do that, then things like the dust settles, the lenses come off, and then now that person has to contend with their emotions. You have to contend with your emotions, but you're doing it. And we start seeing that we can actually fix relationships with only one person once you know what this dynamic is. And that's where therapy and coaching comes in. And that's what I do with my clients. I often am doing couples therapy, not only with 2 people, or family therapy with, the family, but I'm fixing people. I'm helping people find insight and understand the root of their behaviors so that they can interact more successfully with other people. If you are interested, I do offer a free 15-minute wellness insight. Go into the video description. I'll have a free workbook that you can start looking at your triangulated dynamics and how to get out of them. And schedule your own. The first start to your journey is 15 free minutes to see what's going on and how I can best support you. If you like this, share it with somebody else and give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Subscribe. We've got so much good work these next weeks. We're all about networking, interpersonal skills, and maximizing on our success. Thank you so much.